Man, I tried to call you. Did you change your number?
A little cheap device we cooked up to profile players that signed deals in the offseason that didn't make the very tip top of the transactions column. And, if you're a casual fan and kind of tuned out, you may have lost track on some of this stuff the way we might have lost track on a player who changed his number. Jason Kipnis, Keith Costas, as he joins us, signing with the Atlanta Braves this winter. Talk about his prospects there of making the club, making an impact in Atlanta.
Yeah, obviously when things are going well for the Braves, they are pretty much set at second base with Ozzie Albies, who had been at the start of his career one of the most durable players in the major leagues. As we take a look here, from the time of his debut to the end of the 2019 season, he was one of the major league leaders in games played. Then last year, he had a little bit of a wrist issue at the beginning of the season, tried to play through it, then ultimately they decided they have to have him on the IL, give him a little time to breathe. Snitker talked about how he's just such a tough player, he'd want to be in there every day, so they basically took the decision out of his hands. Now when he came off the IL, he was great. 7 home runs and 25 RBIs in 30 games after coming off, including the playoffs. But traditionally, you look at Ozzie Albies, switch hitter, he's been much better against left-handed pitching. Now, obviously, you're not going to go to a platoon situation with Ozzie Albies and Jason Kipnis, but maybe there's a spot where you can get Albies off his feet a little bit and play Kipnis some against right-handed pitchers. You flip to Jason Kipnis, what he did last year, small sample size. The days of him hitting against left-handed pitchers are basically over. He's going to do any damage he does against right-handed pitchers. And you look at the Braves bench, they've got Jake Lamb, who's barely a 200 hitter since his 2017 All-Star season, and Johan Camargo, another switch hitter who's always been better against lefties. So maybe there's a way that he gets Albies off his feet a little bit, provides a little bit of insurance there, and then also what looks like possibly a weak bench. He provides a little bit of punch from the left side for the Braves.
Yeah, it's an interesting ad, and we love Jason Kipnis as the player for sure. He'll be 34 just after opening day, but two-time All-Star. That's a kind of one of those sneaky nice signs for the Braves.
Well, the other thing, too, you got to get to a point in your career where you're willing to accept the role. He's at that point now where he's not sitting there thinking, I'm going to be a starter. I need to have my 500 at-bats. Plus, he's an outfielder in college. So you can now be able to maybe take that back. He's flexible enough where he might be able to make some plays in the outfield for you every now and then. Not on an everyday basis, but he gives you a little more flexibility.
And with a National League team, no universal DH, an opportunity for him that might not have presented itself had he stayed in the American League. It was weird. His year last year with the Cubs, we all went into that thinking, wow, this is perfect. Illinois guy, grew up going to Wrigley Field for various reasons, including the 60-game shortened season. Just never got on track there with the Cubs. It just didn't have any traction. But I think this has a chance. We should also mention for the Braves, Keith, that Pablo Sandoval was brought back. He's around as a guy who's a potential bench option. Good teams have the luxury of building backwards, right? You've got a really good starting 9. So your build can be concentrated on bench and bullpen. Kevin Towers used to talk about that a lot in San Diego. And the San Diego teams he had weren't nearly as good as this Atlanta.
Well, and fit. And that's that point I was making. You have to accept that role because you now are going to be an impact on the bench negatively or positively. If you're going to be whining, you're not making a team. So you got to accept that role.
Yeah.
Be that cheerleader.
Yeah. Hey, man, you do a lot worse than a guy like that, 2-time All-Star. And again, that's kind of a fun thing we're doing all winter long with players that have changed uniforms and guys you might not have kept tabs on.